Alright, welcome back to Good Morning Boss. Sandro, ngayon pag-uusapan natin, alam naman natin na talagang lahat natatakot at maubong ang balita patungkol sa ina-expect nating pag-uga o sabi nga nila, hinog na nga ang itong fault line. Kaya naman dito, maano natin sa Metro Manila ang 7.2 magnitude earthquake. Para pag-usapan yan isang institusyon na ating kikilalanin. Let us all welcome this morning. We have Dr. Fouad Bendimerad, Executive Chairman and Director, Earthquake and Megacities Initiative. Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Boss.
Very good morning.
Doctor, before anything else, maybe we could you could give us a background about Earthquake and Megacities Initiative and what it's really about.
Okay, EMI, which is the Earthquake and Megacities Initiative, is an international scientific organization. It was created for the specific purpose to speed up the delivery of knowledge, mainly to the end users. We realize that there is a lot of knowledge, and that knowledge most of the time is in the hands of the expert, the universities, research institutions. But those who practice or those who issue policymakers and practitioners, very seldom have that knowledge in their hands in a way that they can use it. So EMI mandate is really to bridge that gap. It was created to bridge that gap, to facilitate the transformation of knowledge from the researcher to the practitioner or to the policymaker.
And it also includes like the proper interpretation of, like, let's say the experts really have a complicated terms sometimes that aren't really by the common people. So you also do help with that.
Exactly. Facilitate risk communication.
Okay.
Facilitate packaging, knowledge. For example, knowledge at universities is developed in silos.
Yes.
Geologists know about geology. Seismologists know about seismology. Engineers knows about building or roads. But for disaster risk reduction or disaster risk management, we need to package that in a way that it can be applied. When an emergency manager, for example, is planning for awareness, for population awareness, they don't need exactly the term of the geologist, or they need to package this in a way that this audience, the general population, or if they're talking to policymakers, for example, in a way that they can understand it. And that's part of our role. Also, we do training, for example, for different training seminars, but mostly we help this mid-level, meaning local government organizations, because by looking worldwide, where were the roadblocks? Where was the difficulties in terms of implementation? We realized that local government has a lot of responsibilities with respect to the services, for example, they render to the citizens, with respect to their role as being implementers of policy of national government, do not have the knowledge and the resources and the organization to do that. So there was a roadblock in terms of real implementation.
Okay, so do you have like any tie-ups or partnerships to any organization here in the Philippines, and how do we facilitate the knowledge sharing?
Well, that's a very good question. We have worked, since 2005. Essentially, we came in 2004 to the Philippines, and then started programs in 2005 with MMDA, FIVOX, and partner cities. We call partner cities like Makati. We had partner city with Quezon City, with Marikina, with as pilot applications for other cities and for government essentially to acquire this international knowledge and best practices. So since then, we really have worked with these organizations very, very closely. For example, last year we completed, working with Quezon City, a local disaster risk reduction and management plan, which is a requirement under the Disaster Management Act. LGUs have to develop that plan. So we have them bring international standards, understand the requirement of the laws and regulations here, and work with all the stakeholders. We have a very participatory process where we bring all the stakeholders, because in disaster risk management, in managing disasters, everybody has a role. For example, if you go to LGU, there's an engineering department, there's health, there's social welfare, there's people who work with communities. Everybody has a role into this. So we help them understand and also agree in terms of, yes, this is the best thing to do, because, that's important.
All right, Doctor, we are actually expecting a 7.2 magnitude earthquake here in Metro Manila. So what are, as the Executive Director of EMI, what are your plans about this?
Okay, well, first and foremost is to disseminate knowledge. so that it can be understood. For example, we have a portal online where we take data and information on what would happen during this 7 magnitude 7.2 and detail it and explain it so that people, when they go there, it's not only science, it's the terms that they can understand it. If I am, for example, I am responsible for schools, I want to know where is my school? Where are the resources around me? So I cannot just take this big, huge study called the Maya study. You probably have heard about it. This Metro Manila earthquake risk reduction study that was done by FIVOX, JICA, MMD. It's too scientific. There's too much science into it. So interpretation is what we do. We try to model that to the end user. So different end user can find information in a way that is much easier for them to understand. Facilitate, for example, maps, understanding of how much impact will be to me, not in general.
Yes. Actually, I think that's a good thing because recently when we experienced the Typhoon Yolanda, a lot of people heard about the storm surge, but they didn't really know what the storm surge was, so they weren't really able to prepare better for what they were supposed to be expecting. And then now, sir, I hear that you're going to be having an event. Maybe you could talk about this event.
Yes, we're launching a new initiative called the Institute of Urban Resilience, or IUR. On July 11, in partnership with Makati City, and it will be in Makati City Hall, and we're inviting all the stakeholders. The Institute of Urban Resilience essentially is an observation that we have working worldwide. Is that now awareness has achieved something. 10 years ago, policymakers did not have the awareness. Now people do have awareness about disasters. But still, we are lacking in terms of actual action, actual investment. So why are we lacking this? It's because we lack the human resources, the competent human resources, the people that can understand and transform that into plans, into activities, into programs, into budgets. So if you go to a local government, for example, even if you ask the technical people, it's very difficult for them to interpret what is in Myers, what does that mean to me? How can I turn that into a project, in programs? What are the priorities? We lack those human resources. So the Institute of Urban Resilience is going to be a platform for knowledge sharing. It's going to be a platform for training, for example, for access to knowledge. Even not only in the Philippines, but global knowledge. I'll give you an example. Yesterday I was having dinner with somebody who is an expert in communication. And he was saying, so how can I contribute? Where do I go? They want to contribute. But it's very difficult to see what is the platform by which I can reach all the possible recipient in a way that is effective. So the IUR is going to be that platform, where if I can contribute something, I have an audience already established. I know I go to that platform and I can reach a large number of practitioners and policymakers. The advantage of EMI is we are an international network. We are a network of cities, we are a network of universities, of research institutions worldwide. So we can bring that knowledge. And with today's technology, we can do that. With today's technology, all you need to do is have access to internet. So go ahead.
So, Doctor, you've mentioned that it is really important to have the knowledge and we should be aware of what's happening around us. So at this point, do you have any tips or advices to our viewers or the things that they should remember during calamities or disasters, not just quake?
Well, we have, like in here, we have barangays that are supposed to have, management plans. I think my advice is for communities to get involved, for communities to plan. You can plan at your own level. You can plan with your family. Have a family plan. Have a family plan. Have a family discussion with your children in terms of what do they do if that event happened when they're at school. Because a parent may be working, it may be difficult to access. Have a discussion with the teachers. If you have a family plan, then you are much more prepared in terms of knowing what to do. The panic comes in when you don't have a plan. Be prepared. Also, there are good advice. For example, if you go to the FIVOX website has a little pamphlet that explains what do you need to prepare, what do you need to have. You need to be independent for about at least 72 hours. So that I think is my really best advice for better preparedness. And if we do that as a base, and each family does have a little plan, then that of course by itself will scale up.
All right. I'm sure a lot of our viewers today learned a lot from what we discussed this morning. So thank you very much for your time. That was Dr. Fouad Bendimerad,
Thank you so much for having us.
the Executive Chairman and Director of Earthquake and Megacities Initiative.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time
Thank
this
you.
morning, sir.